of the paper. And I'm walking my dog and people are genuflecting. My God, you're, you know. But this can happen to anybody. And then real fast, a guy was sitting in our audience about 5 years ago. A crazy man named Richard Solomon, a Greek guy. And he says, I want to have a book, but I don't know what to write on. And he was a lawyer. I said, well, what do you do? And he said, well, I teach people how to win in small claims court. That's what I do. I said, how about a book like How to Win in Small Claims Court? Yeah, I can do that. That's great. So, and we taught him how to just start locally, and then here he ended up getting, this is the front page of the New York Times, Sunday New York Times, Into the Small Claims Court with Richard Solomon. Look at that face. Is that huge or what? You know how much this would cost to get? $50,000. You couldn't get it because credibility. But here is a picture of a tiny picture of another guy who's smart, just can see who that is, and then I'm going to get him. Who this little teeny-weeny picture is. This is a few years ago. He was a famous guy. He actually affected all of you. Anyone know who that guy is? The teeny-weeny picture? Take a look. That's right. Head of the Treasury. His name is Alan Greenspan. The head of the Treasury is this tiny little picture. Alan friggin' Greenspan. But this is Richard Solomon, the #1 expert in the world on how to win in small claims court. Do you know what this newspaper article did for him? It made him a celebrity, and it also made him rich. Not a bad thing. You all could do this. There's a service, real fast, just write it down, where I get emails every day from newspapers looking for stories called, and it's Rick's PR Leads. That gets you a discount. Rick's PR Leads, the guy Dan Janelle runs it, and we get queries from newspapers all across the country. I got a query from the New York Times saying, I'm looking for an expert on networking, and I sent her my new book on networking magic. Now, there are thousands of people who know more about networking than I did, but she was looking for an expert, and I said, I have a new book coming out. She interviewed me the following week. It's here, New York Times, Into the World of Networking, When Networking is a Way of Life. New York Times said that I'm the #1 expert in the country on networking. Why? Because I had a book. Now, I'm not the #1 expert. There are thousands of people who know more about it than I do. But the New York Times just said that I was the #1 expert in the world on networking, and who am I to argue with them? There you go. How much did that service cost me? How much would you pay for a service like that? Crazy. $99 a month. That's how much it costs. And you get the first month for free. How many of you can afford for 3 months $200? You just got to do it. Get off your butt or hire a munchkin to do it for you. And this stuff's available to you. So we're going to teach. There's radio, TV, newspaper, print. I just wanted to teach you a little, just one aspect of it, you know, that this can get you going. And media begets media. Once you're in the newspaper, then radio people and TV people, they look at the newspaper, and that's how we get guests, because we're lazy. Newspaper producers have the attention span of a gnat. Okay. And they just want, and it's like, if it's in the New York Times or LA Times or Ohio, whatever, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, they said this person's an expert, they must be an expert, I want them on my show. So from those stories, I got tens of 50 radio shows, because I was in there, and you can do this too. So the point is, the first part is you got the book out, now you got to start promoting. You got to promote and market every day, and you don't have to spend $5, $10, $15, $20, $1,000 a month. You can spend, how much did I just say that was? $200. Hello? $99 a month. And there's lots of services that can help you. Guerrilla publicity had to do with little or no money. This is some of what you're going to learn in the next 3 days. I talk really fast. I'm from New York, so I'm sorry about that. Now, let's get Jim out. We're going to talk about publishing and different ways of getting published. And how much time do we have?
We can do another 10, 15.
And then we're going to answer some questions. So I'm sure you guys have some questions about publishing and publicity, I hope? Or you just want us to entertain you? A little bit of both. Okay. Cool. All right, Jim, let's talk publishing.
Let's talk publishing. So,
Okay.
what do you want to talk about? No, I'm just kidding.
I have no clue. All right, well, different. How about how does Morgan James work? And let's talk about the 3 different ways of getting published.
Of course, as many of you have already indicated, I mean, a lot of you have already self-published. Some of you said you were traditionally published, and some of you said that you had been through some sort of hybrid model. And the hybrid model is kind of a mysterious term, right? Because we don't know what hybrid means. There's a lot of different versions. But real quick, self-publishing, as many of you know, it's a very incredible way to publish your book because you have a lot of control over the process. And you can create the cover to look like you want it and make sure the book sounds like you and says what you want it, and you're in control of it, and you own all the copyright, which is maybe the most important thing. But you have total control of it. Then traditional publishing is where you get an agent, you have a publisher pick you up. They'll, sometimes we'll pay you an upfront fee as an advance to publish the book, and then they'll do a lot of the legwork for you. So they'll edit the book, and they'll create the book, and they'll create the cover, and you may or may not play a part of it, but they're going to get the book out to as many hands as possible through distribution. Hybrid is a term that was used a couple of years ago. I don't necessarily like it. We were maybe one of the first to come out. This is what attracted me to David's company when he told me what he wanted to do. Because his whole vision was he had been traditionally published, and it worked incredible. He had great distribution. He was able to quit his day job as a banker. He was able to focus on what he wanted to focus on, but he hated the experience because he had no say in what the book looked like. So then he said, I'm going to write another book, and this time I'm going to self-publish it. And he loved the experience. He self-published. The book came out exactly like he wanted it, had everything that he wanted in it, except nobody knew and nobody cared. So he said, it has to be something different. He wanted to create a model that brought the two together. So what he loved about traditional, where the impact was, and then what he loved about self-publishing, which is all the control, and how do we build a model to make that work. And I was brought in as an outsider, so I don't know the rules. I'm the perfect one to come in and help you build that. Because nobody can tell me no, because when you don't know what you don't know, you just don't know, right? So you just do until somebody tells you to stop. And we got told to stop a lot throughout the process of the last 11 years building this company, because we weren't allowed to do things like put a bonus offer, as Rick called it, an ethical bribe. How many of you have an ethical bribe in your book? Not a lot of hands. Every single hand should go up. If you don't have something in your book that you can offer that reader to come to a website where you can collect that name and email address, you don't know who's reading the book. How do you impact them further? Your book may have started a conversation that needs to be finished, but how can you finish it if you have no interaction? So just by putting something in the back of the book, whether it's a few tips, whether it's a toolbox, whether it's a video, or something that you can put up where people can get for free, they've read your book, they want more, they want to seek you out, and they're willing to give you their name and email address to have it, you can interact with that person. And now you have a list of readers who have already read your book, who already know who you are and are excited to work for you. Is that a powerful list to have? Absolutely. So each and every one of you need to have that ethical bribe in the book. We were told you couldn't do that by the traditional markets when we went to distributions. You can't do that. That's self-promoting. You're not promoting the book, you're promoting the author. Well, the author wrote the book. We should promote the author, right? So we were told you couldn't do it, but we kept forging and kept pushing. And this is what I encourage you today, is to push through. Even if you hit those no's and those can'ts and you shouldn'ts, do it anyway. Because if you know it's right and it's going to help your message needs to be heard. And that's more important than someone telling you can or can't. And we saw the transition of this just a few years back when we always wanted to put a sticker on the front of the book that said there was a bonus in the back of the book. So people knew if you buy the book, there's a bonus. You're going to get something for free. They didn't want to do it. So we had a book come in that the guy wanted to put a CD in the back of the book. Now this is what we were always told you're supposed to do. You can't put bonuses in the back of the book, but you can put a CD in the back of the book. So we finally have an author who says, hey, I want to put a CD in the back of the book. So we go to publish it, our distribution channel steps up and says, oh no, we don't want that. Because if the CD falls out, the book can be returned. If the cover of the holders is bent, they can return the book. So we no longer want to do it, but we have a great idea. And we said, okay. And they said, well, let's get together. So they got us on the phone, me and David. And we're on the phone with the vice president of Ingram, vice president of marketing, president of sales. They've got this brilliant idea that they want to share with us that's going to help solve this problem. I said, okay, lay it on us. We're ready. How about we put a bonus in the back of the book? Really? Yes, isn't that a great idea? And then they go to pitch us on the fact that this way the reader knows who bought the book and they can interact with them. Had no idea. So they said, even better, we can put a sticker on the front cover that says there's a bonus in the back of the book. Oh, man, I was hot. I'm like, all this time. But you know what? Here's what, after that call, David and I talked, and we said, you know, you have effectively impacted an entire industry when the industry starts coming back with your ideas, right? And that's what we wanted to do with Morgan James. We wanted to create a company that would allow the author to play a part. Now, there are some MJ authors in the house, I know, because I've seen a couple and I already spoke to a few, and they'll tell you. We create a team effort. We get on a call and we discuss the book. We figure out what the title should be together, what the subtitle should be, what the cover design should be, what the inside should look like, what the price should be. We figure all of that together, so the author plays a part. The author sees everything that we work on. When we design the cover, you have say. So is that a good thing? That you can control how the book is built. And then on the backside, we have full distribution through Ingram into bookstores, physical street-level sales into stores. So you get really, truly a benefit of being traditionally published with distribution, but you also get the control of being self-published. You have all that control as well. And guess what? We don't want your copyright. You can have that too, because it's your message, not ours. We just want to support it any way we can. Is that great? So the three ways you can really publish a book: self-publishing, some sort of hybrid. Our model is what I just kind of laid out for you. And then traditional. And as I said earlier, the one thing that I want each and every one of you to know if you talk to me throughout this weekend, it is not a pitch fest for me and Morgan James, I can guarantee it. It's a pitch fest for me to tell you to get your message out. Whatever the best way you possibly can to help build your platform, to reach the people that need your message, that's what you need to do. And anything that we can do to help guide you in that direction, we certainly want to do that, because we want that message to be heard and we want you guys to be successful. And that's how we're successful, right?
And a couple of things you didn't mention. By the way, we get about 5,000 manuscripts a year. Mm-hmm. We accept about 150. The difference between hybrid is that we don't take everybody. We get books in bookstores. You're part of the team. We do it together. And the other thing is we have a publishing board that we look at the books and we interview you. And I would say 80 to 90% of whether we take someone on is if we fall in love with you. Mm-hmm. One thing that we do at Morgan James Publishing is we give a portion of every book that we publish to Habitat for Humanity. And David is president of Habitat in Virginia, and we build houses down in Virginia. And once we build a house for folks down there and put a roof over their head, then we give them a library of books because we want to fill their heads with knowledge as well. Mm-hmm. So we are looking for folks who are looking to give back. And that's what I think makes us a little bit different, is we're looking at your message. And if we fall in love with you and what you want to do and the difference you want to make in the world, we'll figure out a way to get your book done. A book can be edited. It can be changed. We have ghostwriters. We got editors. But if you are, and this is a well-known publishing term, if you're a banana head, you're probably always going to be a banana head. And we don't want to deal with banana heads. We want to deal with loving, great people who want to give back. And that's what we do. I know we just got a 2 or 3 minute sign. Let's just answer a couple questions before we leave, and then we'll send you to lunch, and we'll see you the rest of the weekend. Any questions? Just scream it out. Yes?
So when I first published my first book, I hired a company, and they got me on 36 radio stations across the country. Mm-hmm. And they were big names, but they sold, and the feedback I got from the interview, great interview, my gosh, what a great book. They often didn't read the book. Right,
they won't read the book.
Right, and I didn't get book sales from that. So
Mm-hmm.
it was, and also the people that had you on, maybe it was the focus of the agency, but there were a lot of conservative, right-wing sort of talk shows.
Right.
And, which is fine for my message, didn't bother me, but it didn't sell books.
Okay.
So how do you really, and I've even heard you can be on Good Morning America or something, and you don't necessarily, doesn't necessarily...
I've had people on Oprah who sold 10 books, and I've had people on Oprah who've sold 50,000 books. So it's a long... the answer is you got to just keep on doing it, number one. Radio is only one part of the 4 legs we talked about. Part of it is that it could have been when you were on, you didn't really make them, want to buy that, or at least get to your site. So what we try to teach people is, you know, you're not going to necessarily get to sell 50,000 books, you know, doing radio, but if you can get them to your site and get them into your system and then develop a relationship with them, then you can sell them more so your book later on. And one important point is, too, you always need to have back end, and just write down these 3 letters, MPI. OPM is another one, which is, okay. OPM is good, and we'll teach you about that. That's other people's money, where you can get people to sponsor you, and so you don't have to pay it. So OPM is a good 3-letter. The other one is MPI, is massive passive income, where you're getting people to pay you for your programs and other things while you sleep. Tom Antion's going to teach about that tomorrow, but so the point is, radio and all that, you usually don't get huge amount of book sales. Part of it is we've got to train you. And we don't let anybody go on radio and TV unless we give them training on how to really turn people on. Let's just do another question, okay? So that's bad news, is that when you're out there, you don't sell a ton of books, but you got to just keep on going. Yes?
How about if you've only done a chapter in the book? Can you still claim that?
Sure, absolutely. I've done books with Viki where I have a chapter in that, and I have books we've done with Morgan James where I have, how many, 12 authors or 15 authors in that, and we made it New York Times, not New York Times, Amazon bestsellers, and we are a national bestseller and international bestseller. I'm going to be doing a lot of that with Viki and the, so yes, you can claim it, and that's one of the great things of having a chapter. What I would love you to do, I think that's a great beginning. I think everyone should do that, but then I would love all of you who've done that to also think about having your own book, and also sometimes with a co-author. Every book I do, I have a co-author. So one of my co-authors, Robin Spiesman, she's done 70 books and was a correspondent on the Today Show. She actually knows how to write, so that's why I got her. Jill Lublin and I, so I always have co-authors, you know, do it with me. So yeah, great way to start. I love it, and yes, you can claim it for sure.